Dylan Cease, what does he bring the Orioles? And is it somebody that they should target this offseason? Now, I've started to kind of look into his numbers. He's not a guy that I've ever been particularly high on at any point of his career, honestly. And I know the ERA has been low at times. I know he gets high strikeout rates. I know he stays really healthy. But I've always looked at a guy that just struggled against good teams. Now, last year wasn't primarily the case. He had a pretty good season in 2024, but in 2025, man, it's just weirdness that I looked at. And, I found a couple little things, and, I see a guy, yes, he stays healthy. Yes, he made 32 starts, and he's done it quite often in his career. But only 11 of his 32 starts went through the fifth inning. I don't think that's going to get it done in Baltimore. A guy 21 starts where he doesn't get through the fifth inning. 10 of those 32 starts, he didn't even get into the fifth inning. The thing with Dylan Cease, yes, he gets a ton of strikeouts. The walks are up there at times too. His problem is, and he has good stuff, he just throws way too many pitches. 10 starts. You're looking at a third of his starts, he can't even get into the fifth inning. Does that really help the Orioles for the price that he's probably going to demand? I don't think it does. Now, would I take him if the price was right? Maybe like a 3-year, like $65 million deal? Sure. And I'd slot him probably down in the fourth spot of the rotation or whatnot. Hopefully I had 3 guys better than him, which I think Bradish and Rogers probably are already. But he's going to look at number 2 type money. And I don't think the Orioles should really look at that personally. Is he better than Dean Kramer? Sure. At times. At times, I think Dean is better. So, am I going to pay a guy over $150, $175 million that is just sometimes better than Dean Kramer? I don't think that's smart for this team. I don't know about what you guys think. Let me know down in the comment section below. But, I look at a guy that struggled on the road mightily in 2025. He had above a 5.5 ERA. In high leverage situations where, the game kind of changes on what happens. The dude had a 21 ERA and guys were hitting 286 against him. And that's kind of always been my pet peeve against Dylan Cease is when the going gets tough, he never really seems to show up. Now, I looked at his splits between AL and NL. They were kind of the same. They're about a 4.6 for both. The biggest thing that I seen, the first, second, third, fourth innings, he seemed to cruise almost every game. That fifth inning, he had like an 11 ERA on the season, which, kind of explains why sometimes, a third of his starts, he couldn't even get through the fifth inning. And then 11 of them where he couldn't even get into the sixth inning. We see that now when we see that ERA right there. So I'm kind of speechless of what to say. I've seen the reports that, the Orioles can make a big splash and they think that Dylan Cease is that guy for us. I don't. Could have last year have been a down year? Possibly. But even if you go back to 2023, all those combined starts in a high leverage situation, he's got a 17 ERA. And sticking with, since 2023, 23 of his 98 starts didn't get into the fifth inning. So you're looking at 25% of his starts. And he's had some good years mixed in there. And he's had some good moments. And he's beaten some good teams. He's got a complete game in there. But all of those things could help the Orioles. Yes, don't get me wrong. It's just, do you want to take the gamble on Dylan Cease and the mentality that he has? I don't think he has that bulldog in him to where the going gets tough. He's got it. He seems to be a guy that I don't want to use the word immature, but I can't really figure it out a different word. But when when things are really tight, could you think that he could rear back and get himself a strikeout or a weak ground ball? I just don't see it consistent enough to spend $160, $175 million on him. I just don't think he's the right fit. Again, now if he sits on the market for a little while, which I just don't think he's going to do, could he slot into our number 4 role? Yes. You guys let me know. I don't personally see a fit here. I've looked at some of the numbers and I know some of his underlying metrics, and I follow Thomas Natesco. I apologize if I said his name wrong. I follow him on Twitter. He said under the hood, Dylan Cease had a pretty good season in 2025. I just look at some of the stuff and I'm just like, it's just not consistent enough for me. And it's been kind of the theme of his whole entire career. When for a while, we've always heard the Orioles should look at Dylan Cease. They should look at Dylan Cease. They should look at Dylan Cease. I've always peeked at it every year, how he does against the AL East, and it just hasn't been very good. Since 2023, guy's got a 4.13 ERA against the East. And that's decent, but is that something I want to pay somebody, again, $175 million to? I don't see it personally. I mean, that's an extended amount of time. I mean, we're looking at 13 starts. Now, that's not a ton, but I mean, you're looking at a guy that this is who we play. These are the teams that we got to beat. And is he consistent enough to beat them? I don't really know. I mean, he's got 85 strikeouts in 13 games, which is great. It's great, but he's also got 32 walks in those games against the East. And I don't know. I don't know where to pinpoint it and say, yes, he's definitely it. Look, there's no denying that he has high strikeout stuff. He's got a good fastball. He's got some pretty decent breaking pitches, but if you got a guy who's going to struggle away, the AL East ballparks, they're small. And if he's going to have a 5.5 ERA away from Camden Yards, he's going to get absolutely pounded, even just against AL East teams. And look, the left field wall could probably help him in Camden Yards to probably keep his ERA probably a sub 4. I just don't see the fit. I think they need to maybe look a little bigger. Ranger Suarez, Framber Valdez, Brandon Woodruff. I know he has injury concerns, but when the guy's on, the guy's freaking on. He's one of the best in baseball. Amaga would potentially maybe be okay in Camden Yards. I'm not 100% sold on him either, but Dylan Cease for me it's a name, and it's just not a name that I'm 1,000% sure that I want in Baltimore. Now, look, obviously, if we signed him, I would be excited, and I would hope that he performed very well, and I would cheer for him and whatnot. I just don't know for the price that he's going to command if he's the fit for the Orioles. And if you guys disagree with me, please let me know down in the comment section. If you agree, obviously, comment as well. Trying to figure out who's available, who the Orioles could even go after. It's going to be tough, and I'm not even going to sugarcoat it for you guys. It's going to be tough, trying to find the right fit for this team. But there's some guys out there, and hopefully they hit big. So if you guys like this kind of content, like, subscribe. Catch you guys later.